So much, but yeah, it's so simple.
You know what's funny? It's so simple, right? But in the boat, you don't really see any of it.
Right, you just barely see the top of the turbo.
I mean, on this turbo, you see the top of the wastegate and this line right here, and maybe this dump tube, but you don't really see.
Okay, so we're here at Andrew's shop. No, you're good. We're here at Andrew's shop to talk about his boat. You guys seen the first video, us on the lake? Sick video. Go check it out if you haven't seen it. But now we're gonna just casually talk about his boat, talk about his build, and everybody that wanted more info on it, here you go. So
the motor's out of the boat, so you guys
the motor's right here. We'll do some close-ups on the motor, but
didn't blow it up.
Yeah,
not blown up.
Exactly. So what is the max? Just a question, random question, just to get the conversation going. But what is the max boost you've ran on this setup so far?
I ran 18 pounds. It was just a little much for the boat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean day to day, I don't really run it over 10. I mean 10 pounds is plenty of boost.
Right, and then I think the other thing people are like, "What's the fastest? What's the fastest?" So what's the fastest you personally?
At the end of the summer bash, I have a video on my Instagram page. I had a 92 with the GPS app on my phone.
Yeah.
So that was fast.
92.
It could have went more, or
I think it has more in it. I think what it comes down to is, if they've watched the video and know there's a porpoising problem, they'll start to bounce, and it has to do with the ride plate on the back of the boat. So hopefully this year I'll have the new system set up where it has a master cylinder off the brake. So it almost acts like a down pedal, so you can kind of control it at the beginning. Because once you're in the acceleration, it rides pretty smooth, but it's sensitive. Center of gravity's forward.
Plus on water, everything's like almost like twice as fast.
well, yeah,
It feels
like you don't feel like you're in control.
You feel every little bump. That's for sure.
Literally, you're sitting on it.
Yeah.
Oh man. So yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So what do you? So the motor's obviously out of the boat. What are you changing?
What are you doing?
Upgrading or?
So I'm putting an electric oil pump on it, a turbo works oil pump. So I was having a problem with turbo cool down time. It just took so long. So I'm gonna do a half mechanical, half electrical oil setup on it. So I'll have a turbo works oil pump that sucks oil out of the pan and then pressurizes the remote oil filter on the motor. And when I shut the engine down, it'll be driven off of Arduino. So it'll have a 15-minute timer, whatever I decide to set up. So when I turn the key off, oil will keep circulating through the bearings on the turbo and it'll protect my bearings just so I don't have any issues there.
Okay. And before this, you had to run it for like 15 minutes.
Sometimes 10 or 15 minutes. I mean, when you think about it, in a car, a lot of the time you're not loading the engine. You're coasting down the road. You're not in boost. But with a boat, especially a jet pump, it almost acts like a dyno, always loading the engine.
Yeah.
So I mean, headers they get hotter than hell all the time. So that heat travels through the bearing cartridge, even in here. I mean, it gets smoking hot, too hot for my comfort level.
Yeah.
Enough to make the drain line, the rubber drain line, turn to a solid piece of rubber.
Have you taken this apart since you've had it out?
No, I haven't had it apart. It feels
Or it
pretty
feels good?
It feels good. I'll probably take it apart next winter, but I'm gonna run the new setup and see if it makes a difference. But it should be pretty cool because the oil pump will, it'll pressurize the bearings after it's shut off. But say the electric oil pump fails, the mechanical pump will take over, so I don't roast my turbos and then put contaminants into the oil and then the engine.
Yeah, like what is your experience with turbos and engines before this? Like
Turbos, none.
None whatsoever. So this is your first build. You done it mostly yourself, right?
Yeah, aside from help from friends here and there, but just getting on Google and a lot of YouTube, and friends around town that do this for work. I mean, the hardest part was making the manifolds. Just I hadn't done it before.
And you welded the manifolds yourself?
Yeah, fabbed them, welded them, did everything.
For like guys that don't work on boats, a lot of people are scared to work on like marine type of jet skis, boats, jet boats. What is your take on
A boat's easier to work on than a car. I mean, it's essentially on a rolling engine stand. Everything's in front of you.
Yeah.
There's less going on most of the time. You have less electronics to worry about. Obviously, you don't have a transfer case or a differential. In this boat's case, you have a jet pump, a V-drive, you have a gearbox, but it's 2 gears, no clutches. It's simple. Everything's in front of you. It's easy to work on. Parts are usually pretty easy to get. They've been around for a while, so they're affordable in most cases. Obviously, it doesn't go for every boat, but...
Would you do anything different? Anything you don't like about this build? I mean, other than like you're doing the oil pump, this, that, but like, if you were to do it again, anything?
If I had to do it over again, I don't really think there's much I'd change. I mean, a lot of people might argue and say, why didn't you put an LS in it? Yeah, the parts are easy to find and they're cheaper and it's proven reliability at high horsepower. But when you have the parts laying around, I mean, it's a pretty good excuse to use them. But no, I don't think I'd change anything. It's a damn solid setup. No issues.
And it's proven. How many hours did you put on it?
30
hours.
30 hours.
And so far, what is the issues you had with this so far since you've been riding?
I had a battery cable come undone, so when I went to start the boat, it wouldn't fire. The starter wouldn't engage. Other than that, basic fittings coming loose. I had one of these come loose and spray water all over the place. Just basic things. Anything that you would expect with a new setup.
Yeah.
But what helps is, I'm always questioning myself whether I tighten this bolt or where we at.
All right. It's still recording?
Yeah, it was.
We were talking about issues.
Yeah. Well,
Issues.
he kind of explained it
So you were saying water sprayed. I think that's where we left off.
Yeah.
So like just little
other
little
than that,
stuff.
I mean, there's no issues with it. I mean, it's little things that you would expect with a new build. I mean, it's about having attention to detail and second guessing yourself. Did I tighten this? Did I tighten that? Even something as simple as just checking all the bolts around here. I had the wastegate apart, so obviously, you want to check all the bolts, make sure you tighten them all. It's just basic things.
Okay. I mean, what else? I mean, we talked about so much before the videos. It's like
I know.
I'm trying to like go back and I mean, there's a lot of interesting stuff. Let's talk about the new oil pan that you're getting. The difference between this one and the new one you're getting, and maybe the reason why and what you're doing inside of it. You already told us a little bit about it, but
so essentially the big thing. Number one, this pan is a used pan. Like most of the components with this engine, they're used component. I mean, about the only, About the only new components in the engine were, you know, the crank, rods, pistons, rotating assembly, valves, other things. But the block, the heads, timing cover, oil pan, used parts, and so it leaked. Like oil slick on the bottom side of the boat. So having Kevco Racing fab me up a custom pan, and it's got a tight windage tray. So as the crank's rotating around, it wants to suck oil, and it ends up aerating the oil, and sometimes it can starve the oil pump if you're low on oil. Doubtful, but it's got internal baffles with one-way passages, so when you take a corner, oil will stay where the pickup is.
The same spot.
Yeah. Well, this has got one-way baffles in it, so doors that are on hinges that only swing one way. It's just a better pan. And this is what I could afford when I put the build together, but it's just a subpar pan. And then the new pan, once I get the pan from Kevco, I'll end up adding an internal oil cooler to the inside of the pan because I don't have room on the outside. So I'll put the oil cooler on the inside of the pan because that was an issue. Definitely oil temp. Okay. You definitely need an oil cooler.
Right.
That's for sure. Obviously a different turbo drain setup. The rubber lines didn't last, so I'm gonna end up hard lining it.
Or just little
Yeah,
stuff.
the chrome moly drive shaft,
Oh yeah.
drive line. The old drive line was just 083 welded steel tubing. It's always kind of sketched me out. That's essentially right under your crotch.
Yeah. Exactly.
And
Is that something you just had laying around too? Or how did you have somebody make that one?
No. I went up to the local metal shop and just bought a piece of chrome moly and then just a 1310.
Oh, so you made that one too, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, I can't balance it. I'll have somebody balance it.
Right.
But, the basic welding, 4130 to cast steel is a pretty easy weld. So yeah, I ended up doing that. New interior, new electronics. Gonna modify the fuel system a little bit, add some better filtration, just drivability things more than anything. You know, a lot of when I run this boat, I don't run it hard all the time. You know, a lot of time I'm just out on a Saturday having fun with my girlfriend, and just drivability. I want to be able to shut it off, and not have to idle for 10 minutes on a 90-degree day with 1,300-degree headers in front of me because they do get hot. I mean, I'm sure you remember it. They kick off some heat. One of the downsides, but
right. I think people too were commenting like, "How can you keep your feet down there? Like, there's probably so much heat down there."
Yeah, well, especially the gas pedal. It's aluminum and it sits right behind the headers. Your foot gets a little
warm, man.
Yeah, but just little things. You know, you drive something for a year, you figure out something that you don't like. It's fun to change things. Yeah. It's fun to explore new possibilities, and it's new to me too. So. I like kind of exploring, and I'm hoping that the header wrap makes a difference. Yeah, well, just
the heat.
Yeah. I mean, building water jacketed headers. Even for me, I mean, I've been welding 6.5 years. It's a challenging thing to do. And that takes a very, very, very skilled fabricator.
I wonder if maybe there's some YouTube questions.
Look through the comments.
Yeah.
I mean,
just random. Yeah, let's
yes.
go. Who cares?
Yes. So one of the comments on the last video says, "Is it just direct drive to the jet pump, or are you running it in and out?"
It's direct drive.
Direct drive.
That would someday I will have a setup where I'll have a rubber vacuum gearbox. Because ideally, I'd like to be able to turn a motor. Like 9,000 RPM, but jet pumps make their peak efficiency at 5,500 to 6,000, so I'd be able to gear that down.
Yeah.
But this boat is just direct drive.
Okay. And somebody said something about stability here. So it's like a random comment. Are you looking to maybe stabilize a little more, or you don't need it? It's just.
I've been driving the boat my whole life, and even with this much power, the engine being in the front of the boat, it doesn't want to get air, or it doesn't seem sketchy, and with the center of gravity is towards the front, and it's low in the boat, so it doesn't really want to tip sideways. I don't have an issue with it.
Yeah, well, the thing is, people are probably judging that video of like the choppy waves.
Oh,
and everything.
totally.
Right, because throwing the boat around.
I've never ran the boat that hard in that rough of water.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's usually, the best water for this boat is 6 to 8 inches of wind chop. Get some air underneath the boat. but it's all, the waves are all the same direction.
Yeah, exactly.
When it's wind, you don't have when you have waves coming in at random angles, it tends to throw the boat off.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what we were working with that day.
Yeah.
That was pretty
Terrible.
bad. So somebody's asking, I don't know if you want to answer this or not, but how much does it cost without the twin turbos to build a boat? Something like this.
I mean, if
I know
if
that's a
someone-
rough question, but like, you know, it's,
Oh, it's a fine question. I mean, if it was someone like you and you're like, man, I want to build this boat. The first
with no
thing-
resources, basically.
Yeah, the biggest challenge right off the bat is going to be getting the hull, just the basic mold.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a challenging thing. I can't even put a number on how much a mold is going to cost.
Right, you can't even find this. You're gonna have somebody make you a
Yeah,
custom.
that-
fully
Well, like
custom.
like a front engine like that, or
I
engine
mean,
front.
I don't know another front engine jet drive boat. I know they're called cracker boxes.
Yeah.
They're a V-drive style boat. I know they make those, but I've never personally seen another front engine boat like this. If you know of one, let me know. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, let us know in the comments. Somebody asked, does the boat come with the extra underwear?
Multiple pairs. Multiple pairs. Man, the
And then some
comments
guy
are just
writes,
great on this.
definitely needs a parachute now.
Somebody's, not really a question, but somebody's saying like the water and the turbos being out, you know, there's a shot in the videos where it's like we hit a wave and a
Yeah,
bunch of
right.
water came. Are you not scared of water getting to the turbos, or if it does get in there?
No,
what
I
do you
mean, in my opinion, the worst thing it could do, I think I read that comment, he was concerned about it hydrolocking.
Yeah.
And I think I responded back to him. I'm not worried about it because, I mean, what are these blades spinning 70,000 RPM?
There'd have to be so much water, yeah.
Well, no, it's when it grabs the water, it's going to atomize it. At least my thinking behind it. And it's going to travel through, and then it's got to go into the intercooler, and it's got to work its way almost 2 feet uphill. So it's got to go against gravity. So am I concerned about water getting into it? No, not really. If anything, it's going to act like water meth and help cool the charge. I mean, that's going to take a ton of water. I mean, the boat's never nosedived once, ever. I'm not concerned about it. I mean, it gets the motor wet, that's about it.
What an awesome project, but please trim the boat down. It's handling like a wheelbarrow full of bowling balls.
Oh man, when I saw that made me laugh.
Guys, like, let's see the dyno sheet. Do they dyno boats? How do they dyno boats? Do they?
No, you can't, but you take the motor out and dyno it.
Oh, just dyno the motor itself?
Personally, I don't see a reason to dynoing it. You can look at the spec sheet of how much horsepower it takes to turn a AA impeller 6,300 RPM, and you can come to your own conclusion.
These comments are entertaining.
Oh, I know.
Somebody's like, 2 things: insurance and a parachute.
I got insurance. I got that part covered. No parachute.
Love the build, but I would utilize a 6-speed auto tranny in it. Would that even be possible?
You know, it's kind of funny. I've thought about putting a tranny in a boat like this, and I will someday.
Right.
Not this boat. A 6-speed auto? No way. More of dog box style, maybe.
I thought they were talking about manual.
Shifting would be fun. Like my dream boat is a 22-foot aluminum boat, like they run up the river,
Like
the
the
river
Snake River
rapids.
or whatever,
Yeah, one of those. And then you could theoretically, I mean, you could gear it down and end up running the drive shaft lower in the boat and put the pump lower in the boat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, someday I'll build something like that.
There's a question here. What kind of fuel does it burn, and then how much fuel does you average per hour? I mean, ripping around the thing.
Pump
So
92, non-ethanol. Depends if you hit boost. If you hit boost, the tank's 18 gallons. If you hit boost a lot, you might get 30 minutes out of it.
Yeah.
But it's if you're conservative, you're just cruising, and I don't know how many miles a gallon you get, but it's way more conservative than any of these wake surf boats. I mean, look what it's pushing.
yeah, 13 foot.
Yeah, there's no weight to it. It's like pushing a sled down the lake.
Can you
make
imagine
the
putting a
plumbing
tube,
look good.
dude, back
No,
there?
with tubing like a string, like a
Like
rope,
putting a tube behind it.
like a rope. Somebody on the back of a,
Like on a...
you know what I mean?
I've tubed behind it before.
Have you?
Yeah, back in the day.
Or put a
when my
wakeboard
man was
behind
there.
it? Dude, that's...
It's great until somebody decides that they think they're going to be funny and put the rooster tail up.
To trim up.
Where you don't even see the person, it just
It's a great
comes
water
in.
ski boat. There's no wake behind it.
Yeah. So I seen actually a comment I just remembered earlier. Somebody's like, put the rotary back in there because you had a rotary in there. What do you think about a rotary engine in that?
I have no interest.
No interest whatsoever. Do you think it would handle this power?
I think I don't know enough about a rotary to know if it would handle the power, but if I had to put another engine in this boat, I would definitely put a 5.3 LS. And I'm a Ford guy, but I'll openly admit it. I mean, the 5.3 LS, especially the aluminum block for weight savings with this boat, it's a good setup.
Yeah.
You know, obviously if you're going to run high boost numbers, iron block, but my buddies, they have twin turbo jet boats. Yeah, here in town.
Oh, okay.
But they're a different style. So
okay.
they're a cat style, like a Ford, I guess you'd call it. And they both have 5.3L junkyard motors.
Yeah.
They built turbo setups for. So I got to know them this summer. Super cool dudes. There's some pretty rad boats around this area. I mean, Tony Skaggan over in Seattle, he's got a pretty badass jet boat. You know, I know it runs on methanol and makes 2,000 horsepower or something. You'll see this thing take off. Ain't nothing like that, but I'd still take that. You know, to be honest, people watch this video and they're like, man, that dude's crazy. But when you think about it, yeah, the motor's in the front of you, and it's a V bottom, and you're sitting in the back. So when you hit waves, the boat cuts through the waves, and the motor sits in the front. So when you're sitting in the back, so as it's bouncing, you think you're at the back. You're not, like the Sanger, for instance. You're sitting in the middle of the boat. So when you hit a wave, it hurts.
Yeah.
That boat, I mean, it handles fantastic.
Yeah, even when the choppy waves, we're
so the motor's taking most of the
Yeah, we
hit.
were super solid in the back.
Solid.
I mean, to be honest, I don't know why nobody's actually produced a boat like this. Drivability, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've driven this thing so hard, and I've never once, quote me on it, never once had a sketchy moment with this boat. As hard as I've driven it, never once have I.
We should start a Kickstarter. If we get enough people, what do we? A couple $1 million, we'll start building boats.
Oh, that much.
Just start building molds, man.
Yeah.
We just
No, someday I will end up building them. Someday. I mean, it's too good of a design not to.